When the volume goes up, the pressure decreases. Therefore, volume is inversely proportional to pressure. Here are the materials you will need for the experiment. First, fill up your measuring cup to 500 milliliters. Then, afterwards, pour the 500 milliliters into the pie pan to begin the experiment. To increase visibility of the waterline, it is recommended to add food coloring to the water, and it's also a good way to give your experiment a splash of color. Once the food coloring is completely mixed, place the tea candle in the center of your pie pan. Then place a glass over the candle and mark the waterline with the dry erase marker. Once the line is marked, fill the glass completely to the rim with water and carefully pour the water into a measuring cup. This will give you the amount of milliliters the glass can contain. Ours was 450 milliliters. Then pour the water from the measuring cup back into the glass until you reach the dry erase line. The amount of water left in your measuring cup is volume 1. Ours was 100 milliliters. Then you can dump out the water into the sink. Then light the candle and place the glass over the candle after it is lighted. Wait for the reaction to be complete and then use your dry erase marker and mark the new waterline. Take your measuring cup and measure 450 milliliters of water, since this is how much your glass can contain. Then pour this water into your glass until you have reached your second line. We had 140 milliliters left in our measuring cup. The formula was P1 times V1 equals P2 times V2. P1 was 1 atm. Volume 1 was 100 milliliters. P2 was X. V2 was 140 milliliters. Multiply 1 times 100 and set it equal to X times 140. It then equals 100 equals 140X. Now divide each side by 140. We got X equals 0.7143. So pressure 2 was equal to 0.7143. To find percent error, use the formula PV equals nRT. Use P1 and V1, and the temperature was 22 degrees Celsius, which converts to 295 Kelvin. Once you fill in the formula for finding the moles, this will give you 100 equals 24.2195x, which is x equals 4.129, which is the moles. Then use the moles you found and plug them into the second equation and have pressure 2 be x. This will give you x times 140 equals 4.129 times 0.0821 times 295, which gives you x is equal to 0.7143, which is the theoretical. Now take the actual minus theoretical over the theoretical times 100. This should give you 0%. 4% air.
In Charles' law, as temperature rises, the volume also rises, making this a direct proportionality between volume and temperature. These are the materials required for this experiment. To begin the experiment, fill a large pot about 3/4 of the way full, and then place the pot on the stove, setting the temperature on high, and leave the water to boil. While the water is boiling, fill your other large pot up about halfway with ice cubes and then add cold water. Once the ice water is ready, check the temperature of the boiling water. It should be at 100 degrees Celsius. Using tongs, place the soda can into the pot of boiling water and leave it in for about a minute. Be sure to periodically turn over the can for consistent exposure to the water. Once the minute is up, remove the soda can from the boiling water using the tongs and transfer the can to the ice water. You want to be sure to have the top of the can facing downward to ensure that the ice water will enter the can. As a result, the can should crush. You will then take the can and fill it with water completely. Then pour the water into a measuring cup to find the new volume of the can. Our volume was 300 milliliters. The formula used is V1 over T1 is equal to V2 over T2. Volume 1 was 360 milliliters, or 0.36 liters. T1 was 100 degrees Celsius, or 373 degrees Kelvin. V2 is X. T2 is 0 degrees Celsius, or 273 degrees Kelvin. This becomes 0.36 over 373 is equal to x over 273. Cross multiply and divide, and this will leave you with 0.263 liters. The percent yield formula is actual over theoretical times 100, which is 0.3 over 0.263 times 100, which gives you 114.07%. The percent error formula is actual minus theoretical divided by theoretical times 100. This is 0.3 minus 0.263 divided by 0.263 times 100. This gives you 14.07%.